Good day, everyone. So, our lesson for this afternoon is elements and principles of art. So, let's start with the elements of art. When we say elements of art, these are the stylistic features that are included within an art piece to help the artist communicate. Okay, the seven most common elements that we are going to discuss today are the line, shape, texture, form, space, color, and value. Now, together with that, we have the additions of mark making and materiality. All right, so let's start with the line. Line is a mark made using a drawing tool or brush. There are many types of lines, right? We have the thick, we also have the thin, the horizontal, vertical, zigzag, diagonal, curly, curved, spiral, etc. And they're often very expressive, right? I know you had your activity too. What makes you happy? I know you used lines there, right? So lines are the basic tool for artists. Okay, though some of the artists, they do love to express more. They do have more lines than the usual artist. Just like for this one, this example. Okay, we have many lines here. Okay, that are being expressed by the artist. Shape. Shape is a flat area surrounded by edges or an outline. So these are kinds of shapes that are being used by the artist. So this also involves geometric shapes. We have this regular geometric shapes, or the precise or the regular. We also have this non-traditional geometric shapes. Okay. We also have this term of biomorphic shapes, or shapes that are found in nature, such as this one. Okay, so these are, as you can see, you can notice different shapes here. You can notice a circle, an arc, a triangle, a square, and so on and so forth. Okay, next is the texture. When we say texture, it refers to the surface, the quality in a work of art. So usually we associate this with the way that things look or feel. Okay, we usually assume what does it feel even though we are watching it. Okay, so everything has some type of texture. When we refer to texture, we usually describe this as rough, smooth, silky, shiny, fuzzy, and so on and so forth. Okay, just like this one. So in the left image, you can see that it's somewhat smooth, right? So you can see that it is somewhat like drawn in a medium of canvas. Okay, the small squares right there. And in the right image, you can see that it is somewhat embossed. So you will be expecting that if you are going to touch it, it will be rough. Okay, compared to the left image. Okay. Next is the form. So the form in art, so the form in art helps artists to produce a somewhat like an illusion of a three-dimensional depth. Example here on the upper right. Um, Compared to a simple square, if you're going to make it as cube together with some shadows right there, it will make a different impact. Okay, like it is really existing compared to this triangle and to this cone and to this circle to this sphere. Okay, that is the difference between a shape and a form. Okay, so usually artists use this to combine different forms to create a certain illusion, just like here in our lower right. Okay, it is somewhat like an illusion that something is deep within that artwork, but it is actually just a bond paper. So it is just a two-dimension. Okay, so that's a very good artwork. Next is the space. Space is the area around, above, and within an object. So usually, it also creates an illusion and it depicts and shows a distance. Okay, just like for example in this painting. Okay, you can see that the people in front are somewhat like the same, or it has the same size compared to the buildings at the back portion. Okay, which means it creates an illusion of space that the people in front is actually distant to the buildings that are at the back portion of them. Okay, together with the sizes of the people that are behind them, they are smaller, which means they are also further away from them. That is space. Okay, so color is often one of the most exciting. Okay. So, in both figurative and abstract painting, this color can be used for its decorative beauty. So, it is a means to create a mood and to express an emotion. Okay, just like in this painting on the right, if this will just be black and white, then you cannot really appreciate its beauty. You cannot see that, oh, it's a mountain, there's a river in it, the grass is so green right there. You cannot appreciate it. Okay, so that's the importance of color. Next is the value. So when we say value, it is relevant to dili siya value na the usual values that we mean, the amount, no. It refers to the lightness or darkness of a certain color. Okay, we are referring to the color. Okay, so it is very important because we can visualize the setting of that certain artwork. Okay, if it is in black, white, or in grayscale. Just like here in the upper right portion, what do you think might be the best time for that? Do you think it is sunrise, going sundown, or is it noon, or is it a cloudy day that makes the light quite dim? Okay, so it sets the mood for that value, the lightness or darkness of that color. So is this painting on the lower portion, the lower right. It's also the same. Okay, it has different value, and it can show the different the importance of such a setting. Next, we have this what we call as graffiti. I know you are very familiar with this. So when we say graffiti, it is writing or drawings made on a wall or other surfaces without permission and within public view. So actually, this is a form of vandalism. But what's good to some of the graffiti artists today is that they are given a freedom by the government to do some graffiti on some walls, okay, but not all the walls, okay. So they are given a special permission, okay. So it actually started from the ancient Egypt, the Greece, and even the Roman Empire, okay, just like this one. These are some examples of graffiti. As you can see, it is very wonderful also. Kana lang. There are some graffiti also that is really, there's no art in it. Like, I'm not having this prejudice, but it's just like it's more on bastos, it's more on words, no. So they are not trying to. Okay, that's it. It might take longer. Next is the performance poetry. So performance poetry is poetry that is specifically composed for or during a performance before an audience. So during our time in the 1980s, the term came into popular usage to describe poetry written or composed for performance rather than print distribution, mostly open to improvisation. One good example for this in today's time is the spoken word poetry. So that is an example of the performance poetry. Okay, so the modern term performance poetry was invented in the 1970s by my precious friend Hedwig Gorski. Okay, next is the performance art. When we say performance art, It is an artwork or art exhibition created through actions executed by the artist or other participants. Okay, unlike the visual arts, wherein our medium are the canvas, it can be the wood, and we have the pigments. In performance art, the artist is uh, the medium of the artist in performance art is his or her own body, himself or herself. Okay, just like this one. Okay, these are examples of performance arts, theater arts, um, acting, even the magic itself. It's an example of performance art under the entertainment. Okay, and so on and so forth. Next is the digital art. So some of your classmates here are actually using digital arts in making, uh, especially in the activity 2 that we had. They use digital arts. They use softwares to create color from their drawing. Okay, that is actually good. So it is an artistic work or practice that uses digital technology or digitech, okay, as part of their creative presentation. So some are using Photoshop, some are those are using Paint, and so on and so forth. Okay, any others that are using software to digitalize their arts, just like this one. In the left one, that is a digital art. Of course, these are all digital arts. Let me compare it in this upper right portion. Okay, this tree right here. So in the left side, that is the without polarizer. Okay, which means that is the without any filter or edit, because the filter itself, guys, right now is a form of digital art. Okay, and on the right side, that is with polarizer, which means it was already enhanced. Okay, which is a product of digital art. Just like here in the lower portion in the Excel, someone created a sonic out from highlighting different cells. That is called pixel art. Okay, each cell represents a pixel. Okay, next we have this what we call as transcreation. When we say transcreation, that is a combination of translation and recreation. Okay, which means it is the process by which communications produced for a local market are re-evaluated and reconfigured to appeal to a culturally disparate audience. Okay, so they are trying to make or to communicate with the community using their arts. Okay, that is transcreation. Next, principles of design. First is the unity and harmony. Harmony is the sense that all of the elements of your design fit together. Okay, so they may fit the same theme, so that is unity. Unity also refers to the repetition of the different parts of the elements. It might be the colors, the shape, or materials that look, when they are combined, they look together as one. It is really in harmony. Okay, walay isa nga nagbaboy-baboy. Tanan circle yun na isa na triangle. No. Okay, everything is in harmony. Okay, just like this one. Okay, this is an example of unity and harmony. Okay, very refreshing sa eyes, diba? Next is the rhythm and variation. So when we say variation, it is the pattern which adds interest to the work of art. Okay, sorry, what is pattern? When we say pattern, it is a principle of design or the repetition of different elements in the visual arts in a very organized way. Walay naglatagaw, walay na sagol nga lain. But one thing is that you can also notice a what we call as rhythm, okay, through repetition pa rin. Okay, some examples of rhythm are regular, alternating, random, and progressive rhythmic patterns. Example, this one. So this is an example of rhythm and variation. As you can see, the bird is repeated right there, together with the weave art, the art of weaving here on the right. They are repeating, right? Alternating. Okay. Next, Balance and proportion. When we say proportion, it refers to the dimensions of composition and relationships between height, width, and depth. So you need to understand the difference between the two. Okay? Example, the correct proportion in drawing portraits, it allows a well-balanced and realistic representation of human form. Okay? Just like this one, the Mona Lisa. There is a balance and proportion. Try to look at its height, width, and depth. Kumbaga, ang size sa iyang kamot is really fine. Like, dili siya dako kaayo, dili po siya gamay. It is really proportionate to her body. Dili siya murag si Johnny Bravo nga. Dako kay lawas, nya gamay kay tiil og legs. Diba? It's not something like that. Okay? Next, emphasis and subordination. Emphasis is defined as an area or object within the artwork that draws attention and becomes a focal point. So that is emphasis. Okay? Nala isa ka area na dadto nag dadto ang ato ang focus. And subordination, on the other hand, it is somewhat like the opposite of it. It is trying to minimize or tone down other elements para iyahang mahatagan og focus ang isa ka gusto niya ipakita didto sa tuwa. Okay? So lahi sila ha. Emphasis, it draws attention padung didto isa ka area. While subordination, iyang gikwaan. Okay? Just like this one. So the emphasis right there, okay, is asa ang emphasis nato diha? Is it the red one, the left, or the right? Of course, the emphasis there is kanang flower. Okay? While ang kanang nasa right, that is subordination because it tried to minimize all the other bubbles, all the other circles. Okay? Bantayan niyo. Mura niya ginahinay-hinay og suyop, somewhat like that. Okay? So that's it. Hope you had understood it very well. Bye bye.